when it comes to the airline industry and the barriers of entry that are needed in order to be successful in the airline industry, I think that some of the barriers would be obviously financial capital. You have to buy the planes and you have to have the resources to do that. But regardless of that, I think some of the more detailed ones would be access to an airport or a spot um, to have your plane fly out of. So it depends on if you're actually doing an airline uh, company itself or the airport, because that's still in the airline industry. I think being able to have an airport itself to fly out of, there's not a whole lot of land that's available within large cities to create a new airport. But then if you already have an airport, now you're going to have a good brand reputation and trustworthiness that the airport and the customers can trust you um, to complete their journey. And then also you're going to have technical expertise. These aircraft require people to deal with them and maintain their safety in order for it to be trustworthy and for it to be a safe journey for everyone involved. And then also you have to have a lot of government regulation on what's allowed on the planes, what do the specs look like, how fast can it go, how heavy can it carry, and like all these different government regulations. And that's something else to keep in mind for the airline industry and their business. Some industries with few barriers to entry, this would be like your freelance services or like e-commerce stuff, because oftentimes if you're just having like a online store, you don't have to have a whole lot of capital to start a business or start an online website. And oftentimes, if you're selling like freelance stuff, like either graphic design or anything like that, that's like digital, it doesn't really take anything other than your creative mind. And there's not a whole lot of resources that you need in order to do that. And oftentimes, most of these services can be learned pretty easily. So there's not like a whole lot of schooling or technical know-how on how to do these services. Whereas in the airline industry, you need to probably have a degree in some sort of mechanical engineering to be able to work on a plane. It's not the case with this. And then also you just have the freedom to work wherever you want. So you're not limited by a geographical region if you're doing like freelance or any online type website. And then a real world business example for me, I ran my own like music production company for a year or two. Um, and it didn't have like a whole lot of barrier to entry. It'd be no different than the freelance e-commerce type of business model. So all I had to do is be able to come up with ideas and then be able to market them. And I never spent a whole lot of money because I didn't need to. And there was like the only thing limiting me was myself and how well I could come up with ideas and solutions to what I was wanting, how to get sales. Um, and so the example of that would be if I'm selling a song to someone, I need to be able to market it to them. But I created that whole song from scratch, so I don't owe anybody any money from making it. So therefore, it's all 100% profit, and that's just another lower barrier of entry. Um, and then, how do these play into economies of scale and brand loyalty? I think that economies of scale, it just makes it easier for people to trust larger companies if they've already been established. And then the brand loyalty aspect is that the strong brands create more customer loyalty. People trust them more. And then, especially with an airline industry, if you already have a reputation and it's good, then people are more likely to follow you and trust you in other endeavors. So I think it's harder for smaller um, entrepreneurs to come up with a lot of brand loyalty in the early stages because these economies of scale already have lower prices and a larger following and can do things you cannot do at the when you're first starting out. So I think it just creates it. That's another thing to look at whenever you're starting is that's a form of barrier because these large companies are just stealing um, customers away from you.